Let's jump to Fahrenheit 451, something that you and I were both really excited about. Ramin Barani directed this. Michael B. Jordan starred in it with Michael Shannon and Sophia Boutella also having significant roles in the film. Based off of an older, a book from the 50s, I believe.
Yeah,
Fahrenheit
the Ray
451 was.
Bradbury book came out in '53.
Yeah, and obviously they updated this. They try to stylize it a lot more, and instead of the television being the force that they're fighting, like they're trying to control, it's now the internet they're trying to tame or reduce, like the content that society can intake. Man, high expectations. Michael B. Jordan seems like he can't miss nowadays. Big swing, big miss in my opinion. This thing was trash, absolute trash. And not only that, but Michael B. Jordan was absolute trash in this movie, and I was very disappointed. Michael Shannon was Michael Shannon, but man, I was really let down by this.
Yeah, I thought Shannon was pretty solid. He was playing himself the way like Woody Harrelson was playing himself in Solo, which we'll get to. But and I thought Sophia Boutella was actually good.
She was great.
I find her incredibly compelling. Put her in more stuff again.
Yes,
loved her in Atomic Blonde. But yeah, I felt Michael B was a little overacting. He also delivered some weak lines. That's not his fault, but I thought the way Montag like evolves really fast. I don't know. It was very jarring. Yep. So I didn't like his performance that much. But the thing about this movie is it's a 158-page book. So to have it be on the screen, you have to I feel like you have to kind of do a lot of work to not make it so jarring. And they just didn't do that. This movie was still only 96 minutes or something. Like it seemed pretty short, pretty quick. Really just all about moving the plot. Laura Harrier played his wife, but they cut that role on the cutting room floor. She's not even in the movie. She's kind of an important character in the book. You remember her? She played Liz in Spider-Man: Homecoming, but yeah, she's not in the movie at all. And I thought this had a lot of potential. I don't have any problem with them modernizing. I think it's a kind of a smart, convenient way to justify a remake of the movie. They did a movie version several decades ago, and the internet, having the internet in there, and like hard drives and AIs and stuff. There was a lot of potential, and I thought it looked decent, as a dystopian world, but overall, I think it just fell incredibly flat. The storytelling was very, very simple, and like I said, it was really all about advancing the plot. There was not a lot of nuance.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on something that I thought was the strongest part of it was just that the world looked great. It had this almost futuristic noir feel to it, almost like a Black Mirror type episode of like the Daniel Kaluuya one, 15 Million Merits or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of good shadows and stuff, and the fire looked good.
Yeah, and I thought Patella was great too. But to go back to Michael B. Jordan's poor dialogue, I can't get this one scene. I forgot what the name of the thing that hangs out in the house, the Alexa type thing that's in the household. But at one point, and there goes my in the background. At one point, he literally says turn off or go dark, and then it responds to him as he's reading, and he's like, I thought you were turned off, and I was like, oh God, that was so bad. I mean, it was just cringy at points.
Especially because we saw Michael Shannon's character go dark and then put a lamp over it for extra privacy. And I was like, Guy. His name's literally Guy.
Yeah.
Why didn't you think about this? Come on. I think because living in 2018, any normal viewer understands how surveillance works. Your phones might be listening to you. Your Alexa's definitely recording at least some stuff from you, right? So something so simple like that, it's just an oversight that just comes off as really lazy.
Right. And I think the other thing is that, like you said, it's a very quick development. And the thing that stirs him is this woman lighting herself on fire, and then Beatty kind of egging him on, giving him opportunities to like read the books, things like that. But they cut out two major things from the book that really drive the character development. And like you talked about them cutting his wife out, she's a major part in the book in terms of helping, kind of pushing along his character development. Because if I remember correctly, she dies from an overdose.
I believe she's a bigger character than Clarice.
Huge character, yeah. And Clarice, I think, is in the book briefly, and she also dies in the book. I mean, spoiler alert to anyone that hasn't read Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah, I about that.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't really understand how you can try to. I guess maybe they wanted to give Batella a larger role. They probably felt like her performance was so strong they wanted to kind of maybe make that bigger, but just overall, it doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. Yeah, and it was really disappointing because I really thought that with this cast could have been great.
Yeah, but also, I mean, to cut the wife character, to cut any kind of nuance, any kind of extra scenes of the characters just being the characters, I still don't understand why you did that, because the movie was 96 minutes long.
Right.
There's going to be short. We're talking about the tail in a second. That's a 2-hour movie. So maybe the script was just weak to a point that I needed to rework it, and this is the best possible film they could have made off what they shot. Perhaps. But if that's the case, I think it's a rare miss from HBO, and I guess this kind of a movie like Paterno, which was like not as good as everyone thought it'd be, but still good. Like Fahrenheit 451, we expect it to be better, but maybe it's more in line with some of the other HBO movies made where you can't expect too much. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're going to be talking about HBO property, moving forward. We haven't really talked about Westworld in a while. And
Succession
started. So we're going to be catching up. But I think that they've been actually taking a lot of L's recently, especially after, last year they had The Young Pope, which was kind of out of nowhere and so good. And so a down year for HBO just as a channel in general, or a service